Welcome to our Diagnosis and Treatment of Psychology class, DSM. First of all, this class is very similar to another class, Diagnosis of Children and Adolescents, but this class is for students in clinical mental health counseling, whereas the other class, Diagnosis of Children and Adolescents, is for school counselors. So the first thing right off the bat, just want to make sure everybody taking this class is in the right class. You should all be clinical mental health counseling students. Okay, if you are a school counseling student, email me, drop the class, get in a different class, and I will help you with that. Okay. So what I like to do when I'm teaching face-to-face is to, of course, take the first class and after introductions, go over the syllabus step by step so students feel comfortable and they understand the expectations of the class and they can ask questions. And I want to do the same thing online. So we're going to go through the syllabus, and you can email or comment and ask me any question you like. We'll also go over this in more detail later on. Okay, so as we look at this, of course, the first part is K-CREP and our catalog description. Not only do I want you to be familiar with doing an assessment in order to make an accurate diagnosis, but I also want you to be able to understand the differences between the previous diagnostic criteria from the DSM-4 TR and the current DSM-5. And because you're going to get clients with files that go back many years, and they will have older diagnoses. So it's important to understand axes and the differences. And we're going to learn both the old diagnostic procedure and the new diagnostic procedure. You should also be able to not only diagnose, but look at a diagnosis and understand if it is correct or not. I ran into so many misdiagnoses over the years. It's quite disturbing. And finally, you should also be able to explain a diagnosis to a client appropriately. So much so that they should agree with the diagnosis. I feel that it's very important for students to master these foundational skills. So I want you to be successful, and I will help you to be successful. So the only required textbook, and I use a lot of different teaching methodology. I am doing at school, at Cal U, I have so many videos of different clients that you actually would be able to see what it's like to be working with somebody who's suffering from schizophrenia, and you would see an actual client with schizophrenia. Of course, they're all on VHS tape, and they are all copyrighted, so I cannot post them on D2L, and it would take a long time to copy those anyway. But I am doing my best to find some alternative videos of specific cases, and I think it's important that you're able to see examples of these diagnoses. Okay, so the only required textbook is the DSM, and you can either get the big one, the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders, the DSM-5, or you could get the smaller version, and it is called the Desk Reference to the Diagnostic Criteria from DSM-5. As I'm reading this syllabus, I'm just making small corrections. Now, there is another textbook that Damon Bledsoe uses when he teaches this, and you can get it. You can get a used copy. I don't use it, but if you feel overwhelmed with the actual DSM, I'm just trying to save you some money here, and you feel more comfortable with a book that has more detailed explanations, you can certainly get the DSM-5 made easy. You can look that up on Amazon and get a used copy. And of course, we always refer to the Code of Ethics from the ACA. Please most of the time I say it's okay to purchase like an older version, but you do need the DSM-5. Please don't get the DSM-4, the 4TR. It has to be the DSM-5. Okay. So what are the expectations in the class? How are we going to assess that you have attained this knowledge and are able to apply it? Okay, we have discussion posts each week, and we don't do that in the regular face-to-face class, but I would like to do that during this class. And there are detailed instructions on how to make a discussion post for this class in a separate video, but suffice it to say, don't just write a brief paragraph. I want to hear not only what stood out for you, what you learned, but I also want to hear your personal reaction to what was taught. I want to know that you understand and can connect the material, whether it's from the DSM-5 criteria of a diagnosis, to a film that we watched, to some medication that we talked about in a lecture. I want you to make those connections, and I want you to refer to something that is said in the DSM-5 and things like that. So, talk about each piece in multiple paragraphs. You don't have to write an entire paper, but on the other hand, don't just write a brief paragraph either. I would also say that as we move through this course, please memorize the basic criteria that will help you to differentiate from diagnoses that are close to one another. You can't memorize this criteria all right before an exam. And we'll talk about, I don't want you to memorize every single diagnosis. We'll talk about the most common diagnoses and what diagnoses are close to one another and how to differentiate them. So we will go over that in class. So projects. So assignment 1 is not required for this summer course. For 1, it's 5 weeks shorter. 2, it would cause a lot of stress to have you work with another individual and videotape it and upload it. So you can read through it, but assignment number 1 is not required, and in its place, we're using the discussion posts each week. So yes, we're doing the extra discussion posts, but we have one major assignment less as well, so it should equal out. But we are doing assignment number 2, and this is meant to have two sides to it. It's supposed to be fun, but it's also supposed to be serious. You know, it's got that fun side, but it's also serious. So the assignment is meant to familiarize yourself with the DSM-5, the process of diagnosing. We're going to go over exactly how to do an assessment and things like that. I realize this is the beginning of the class, and that you are new to this procedure and the content. 4 to 5 typed content pages. Number does not include the title page, abstract, or reference page, which are also required, so basically APA format. 1-inch margins, no more. Appropriate font, 12 pitch times New Roman, double spaced only. All that good stuff. Not a lot of white space on that paper. And just follow this outline. In fact, you can use these headings: assessment, diagnosis, diagnostic criteria, treatment. Use those headings in the paper. And we'll go over, the assessment. But a description of a movie character, like somebody from Disney, it could be TV. It doesn't have to be like just a movie. It could be a comic book character. It's just so that you'll have a character to work with. Could be Batman, could be Ariel, Little Mermaid, could be anything. Could be like, doesn't have to be a comic. Doesn't have to be animated. It could be any movie. Let's see. I do have a caution, though. Some movies that actually give a diagnosis, like there was one with Winona Ryder. I forget what that was called, but they gave a misdiagnosis. So be careful with that. But so this assessment information will be the foundation of the assignment. Clear description in the assessment format of the character you're diagnosing is important. So we want like a case study. The hardest part about this is that I want you to use the language of a professional. So this character is your client. I don't want you to write in the movie. I don't want you to write in the character. I don't want you to describe the movie. I want you to write this as if they are your client in real life. Okay? So the client shared that they experienced some hallucinations and paranoia, something like that. You're not going to refer to the movie. You're not going to refer to a character. That's just giving you a client to work with. And then you're going to give the diagnosis. You're going to go through each of the diagnostic criteria. You're going to refer to the DSM-5. And you're going to come up with a treatment plan. And this is where you're going to use some references. Look up some professional journals. How do you treat this diagnosis? And don't just write about the treatment. Come up with a treatment plan. How are you going to use a theory, a therapy with this specific client? Outline over the next 2 months, the next 8 weeks, the next 8 sessions. What's going to happen? How are you going to apply this treatment to this client? And we'll talk about this a little more as the semester moves forward. And there's 2 exams. They will not be cumulative. One is the first half of the semester, the other is the second half of the semester. But you will have to memorize criteria for the diagnoses that we cover. All right. It will be multiple choice, though. All right. So if we look at the scoring, assignment number 1, not required. Discussion boards, 10 points each, 100 points. Assignment number 2 will be your final paper, 100 points. Exam 1 and exam 2, 50 points each. All right. Grading, you can miss 10% for an A, 20% for a B, 30% for a C, but if you are in our counselor education department, you cannot get lower than a B or you will have to retake this course. All right. Try to have everything in on time, especially the discussion posts, because other students will read them and Wednesday, and then by Friday you need to respond to 2 other students to their posts. And once again, not just the sentence. What did you like about their post? What did you not like? Be respectful. What's your view on the subject? Of course, be respectful, have integrity, don't plagiarize, all that good stuff. Do not buy live text. We're not sure what program we're going to be using, but we will let you know in the fall. And you'll write 1 paragraph, something you can take with you as a therapist from this course. This is not an evaluation of the course. This is something that you can take with you for your portfolio as a future therapist. And even if it's the worst course in the world, you can get something good from it. And you'll upload your final paper as well. Okay, if you have any kind of disability, please go to the office for students with disabilities, and I will accommodate you in any way I can be helpful. Once again, I want you to be successful. I want you to be a great therapist. So I don't want misdiagnoses in the future. So here we have all kinds of helpful numbers in case you're in need. And this is our course schedule. 10 classes. It's going to go really quickly. We've got a lot to cover. You'll see I'm going to have all kinds of supplements. The first supplement is supplemental text is this article on being sane in insane places. Please read it this week and post on it Wednesday in your discussion board. We're going to have videos, and we're going to be going over a lot of sections in the DSM, and I'm uploading my own notes and all kinds of stuff in my video lectures. So there's a lot to talk about. So you can see here, DSM, pages 5 to 25. And I don't have the pages for the desk reference, but it would be the very beginning of the desk reference. I'll have to add that. But you can see here that we're not going to have any quizzes. I'm going to delete that and re-upload this. But so we have the DSM. We have the reference, that's the desk reference. If you buy that textbook, Morrison, it tells you what to read. Lecture and discussion, and any supplemental materials. We're not going to have any presentations. Please ignore that. And we have places for your basic assignments. So if you have any questions or comments, and I'll be going over this week to week when anything is due, and you can email me or ask any questions. All right, I hope you enjoy this class. Thank you.